appreciate you doing the early streaming thing with us. John Bird 365, McMullen and McDonald here to hang with you. J-Mac, when we wrapped up at 10 a.m. yesterday, we knew it was only a matter of hours before legal tampering started in the NFL. Well, a couple hours and 15 minutes, and the Eagles lost a player. Took all of about 15 minutes
15
of
minutes.
the start of legal tampering to the Eagles already feeling the pinch of free agency. TJ Edwards first, followed shortly thereafter by the big DT that they couldn't get re-signed. And I was okay. We all knew Hargrave was probably going.
Yeah.
Just didn't know it was going to be San Francisco. Not good. One of the main competitors in the NFC. And the hits just kept on coming. Even though John talked about it, knew it as a possibility, yesterday was a pretty painful day for Philadelphia Eagle fans, was it not?
I don't know. I mean, maybe because I expected it. I actually think it went better than expected because C.J. Gardner-Johnson and Bradbury are still out there, which indicates to me the market is not exploding for them. I think, you never know. I mean, Dalvin Tomlinson signed late last night. He got a big deal. So you never know, but that to me is a good sign because the Eagles knew they were going to lose all these players. So that part I was personally already prepared for. Obviously, I can't talk for the fan base, but the one little bit surprised was TJ Edwards. If you gave me that number beforehand, I would have said, oh, well, the Eagles can get him back. But that's just another indication of they don't give a rat's ass about off-ball linebackers. So let's not talk about off-ball linebacker again when we talk about first-round picks, unless it's some super, freakish player that you're in a position. I mean, they just don't value it. So that if you're looking for one surprise, it was that number and the Eagles not wanting to bring him back at that number. And I got a lot of people. TJ's from Chicago, about 50 miles north. He was a Bears fan growing up. And I got all those, maybe he just, no matter what, wanted to play for the Bears. And how many times you and I, Jody, second contract, undrafted free agent. Trust me, he would have stayed here if the Eagles offered him more money. It's a business. This is his first chance to make big money. He would have stayed. They didn't want him. So if you're looking for a surprise, the number that he got, I thought the Eagles would have been able to bring him back, which indicates they didn't want to bring him back.
Yeah, you and I see that one exactly the same. And we feel too many calls. I feel too many calls on the radio side. We get too many comments here on our stream. Jalen Hurts should really give the Eagles a hometown discount. That he should leave some money on the table so that they can make the team better around him. And you and I just roll our eyes and shake our heads. If there was a guy, and by the way, I firmly believe that Brandon Graham did give the Philadelphia Eagles a hometown discount.
Yes,
and
he did.
More power to him. He wants to finish his career here. He'd probably going to do this dance again next year because he wants to play 15 full seasons. So that would be 2025 as 2024 as well. If a guy was going to give the Eagles a hometown discount after BG, it would have been TJ Edwards. A much honored college football linebacker who ran a slow time at the 40 and was passed over by every team in the NFL draft. Well, who reached out and gave him a chance, at least sign him as an undrafted free agent, the Philadelphia Eagles. And then who watched him work his way up the depth chart and become a guy who actually could get on the field? Well, that was the Philadelphia Eagles. And who actually gave him the chance to start in the NFL? That was the Eagles. And who got him out there on the field so he could put up these massive tackle numbers that got him onto the free agent market? That's the Philadelphia Eagles. So if there was a guy if there was a team who was going to have a break and maybe get him for a couple of bucks less, that's the Philadelphia Eagles. And he goes to the Bears for at best, market value deal. You're 100% right, John. They just don't give a flying fart about linebackers.
They do not.
They don't.
Do not.
Even with a new DC and a revamped defensive coaching staff, the philosophy hasn't changed at all. It did bother me that TJ Edwards went to the Bears.
Yeah, and I'll pay, there's a possibility if you put the exact same contract in front of him, he would choose Chicago because he's from Chicago and maybe, he wants to go back home. Maybe. I don't know. But not if you offer him a little bit more. So I don't know about the hometown discount, but my point is, all right, maybe you have to bump it up 500 grand. All right. If you, I was, there were some people projecting eight figures, $10 million for TJ. And I said, well, there's no way they're going to bring him back. He didn't get close to that.
Under seven. Under 7 million per.
Yeah. So, it's so interesting to me. You and I also talk about the pedigree argument all the time. It's funny because Chicago spent $100 million essentially on linebackers, the vast majority of it going to Tremaine Edwards, who's the former 16th overall pick in the draft. So I was looking it up, and just out of pure coincidence, the number 5 off-ball linebacker from Pro Football Focus was Edmond, and number 6 was Edwards. They got number 5 and number 6. They spent $75 million on one and $21 million on another. This league, I guarantee you, as we sit here 2 years from now, Jody, hopefully we're still doing this show, I guarantee you the Bears are happier with TJ Edwards. I guarantee you, because of the whacked out expectations of the other contract.
Well, here's the other part to that, and it plays to other issues that the Eagles have to deal with in a loss the Eagles took yesterday. Marcus Epps and CJ Johnson. Epps signed yesterday a 2-year deal, $12 million, $6 million per with the Raiders. If you go back and look at the numbers that Marcus Epps and CJ Johnson put up this year, they both averaged exactly 5.5 tackles a game. And that's the number one thing that defensive players have to do is tackle. You got to bring a guy down. Now, if you're an edge speed rusher, that tackle should be in the backfield and causing the other team loss of yards rather than just less yards or not enough to get a first down. But CJ and Marcus Epps averaged the exact same number of tackles per game last year. Gardner Johnson missed, of course, 5 games with the injury, but if you do it per game, they had the exact same number of tackles. You think that CJ's getting a $6 million a year contract? I don't think so. So you know what he's getting paid for? Those 6 interceptions. Do you know why Tremaine Edwards got so much more than TJ Edwards is? Splash plays. Sacks.
You
tips,
get paid to make plays.
Force fumbles. That's what they pay for in the NFL. The splash play, the lead to a turnover play. TJ Edwards doesn't get those kind of things. I was kind of surprised. I thought that he had at least 1 or 2. He didn't have even 1 forced fumble this past year. He's a tackling machine. And I think there's a need for tackling machines in the National Football League. But he's not a turnover guy. He doesn't get INTs. He doesn't force fumbles. And that's what holds your salary back. If you're a splash player, you get paid. And watch how much CJ Gardner-Johnson gets paid and compared to Marcus Epps when, in a lot of respects, they're very equal safeties.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I was texting a former GM over the weekend, and he said, plays get you paid. That was his exact quote. And he was talking about CJ, because there's not maybe as much consistency as people presume, because he leads the NFL in interceptions and all that kind of stuff. So you're 100% right. I just think it's interesting. I always say, it seems to me there's more and more smart teams in the NFL. The dumber teams that seem to go by the wayside each and every year. But, man, they just – stuff like pedigree, I mean, they just default to it and default to it and default to it and default to it. And the other stuff is right in front of their eyes. And they don't want to admit this guy's a good player because he did this on February 5 years ago because he ran a 4.87. I mean, it's just from a logic standpoint, with all the money these teams pay on scouting and personnel, and at the end of the day, they always come back to, well, I know how well he played, but, and the other guy could jump out of the building and run out of the building and do this and do that. I guarantee you in 2 years, Jody, I guarantee you one of them's out of Chicago, and it's not TJ Edwards.
All right. So you think the TJ Edwards was a pretty smart signing by the Bears?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. The Bears don't do everything.
Ryan Poles, blind squirrel has got to find a nut in the woods every once in a while.
Yeah, everybody's, because I went off on Chicago, and Chicago's got passionate fans, much like Philadelphia. So they go lunacy on you from 0 to 100. They're a bad organization. Again, they spent $100 million on off-ball linebackers. Now, we can all agree the Eagles are a smart team. You might be disappointed. And what was yesterday? March 13th. Whoop-de-doo. The Bears are the champions of March 13th. Whoop-de-doo. I guarantee the Eagles make more good decisions moving forward, even though they lost a bunch of players. Why did they lose a bunch of players? Because they're a good football team. Why did the Bears have all these assets? Because they're a crappy football team. And they want the Donnie Walsh route, convention of losers. We're losers, so let's tank and let's do this and let's screw up the young quarterback. And then we got all this money. And what happens with this convention of losers? When they get all the assets, when they get all the money, Jody, they don't know what the F to do with it. So what did they do?
Well, they signed your guy TJ Edwards to a reasonable contract.
They and they screwed that up by giving the other guy $75 million for an off-ball linebacker. That's always a bad decision. Is TJ a value signing? When I say the Bears are a bad organization, I don't say they make every decision wrong, but they make a lot of bad decisions. And spending $90+ million, almost $100 million on off-ball linebackers in the 2023 NFL, where the Eagles won't give a nickel to a damn off-ball linebacker. What does that tell you? What does that tell you?
Here's what it tells me. Ryan Poles is in the second year on his job. So he had a bad first year. He decided to go decidedly backwards when putting the team together this year, and was probably given permission to do just that with the roster that he inherited. And now he's building it back up. And I think they're going to be an improved team, if not a much improved team.
They have to be improved,
so if by
Jody,
year 2, he has got the team significantly going the other direction, I don't think you can just slap because they finished 3-14 in their first year that you go, bad organization. No chance whatsoever. They have no idea what they're doing. I think that's wrong and harsh.
You went through it, again, different sports, so it's not the same. It's not a perfect comparison. That's the sleight of hand trick. When you get so bad, you can't go anywhere but up. I will stipulate that the Bears are going to be better next year. I will stipulate that they have to be better because they tanked and they went down and they got the number 1 pick in the draft. So are they going to be better? Sure, they're going to be better. But I've seen it time and time again with these same type general managers. Assets. Accumulate. And then when they got to do something with them, they go spend $100 million on off-ball linebackers.
They got a lot of draft picks as well. I'm going to give Ryan Poles this year to prove whether he can or can't build a roster. So far, so good as far as I'm concerned. I think you've been over the top harsh at where the Bears are. Are we over the top harsh with the Eagles, losing Marcus Epps and losing TJ Edwards? All right, Javon Hargrave was going. We knew he was going. Good luck to him. Unfortunately, it's the 49ers. I would have preferred to see him go to the AFC. That didn't happen. You knew that Andre Dillard was walking out the door. I had no idea he was going to get almost $10 million per.
Yeah.
No shot. Talk about no shot at coming back. The Eagles were not doing that. That's for damn sure. And yeah, I'm going to bemoan the fact that both TJ Edwards and Marcus Epps could have been kept. Speaking of Marcus, we'll go Marcus next. That would be Marcus Hayes from the Philadelphia Inquirer and also the 94 WIP. He joins us to continue the Eagle analysis here on Birds 365.